Romeo, first of all, it's an enormous pleasure to have you here. And of course, on behalf of LEFFEST' and of Teatro Nacional Dona Maria II, I thank you for being here. And again, congratulations. I know this is quite an old show for you, but still, congratulations for this incredible performance. I have a few questions, but then you're also free to participate if you want to ask any question or to add a comment. Be free, feel free to do it. So this is exactly, so you made two versions of this opera.
Yes.
You made one with Wiener Festwochen, yes, which is the original Gluck, yes, version, exactly, in Italian. Yes. And then there is this version, which is the Berlioz
yes,
version of
Berlioz, exactly,
the revisitation
in
by
French.
Berlioz in French.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit, first of all, about the differences between the two versions, and then, of course, how this project appeared?
First of all, I apologize for my broken English. Actually, I don't speak in English normally, so forgive me for all mistakes that for sure I will make. So, yes, there were two different versions, Vienna and Brussels. Vienna was the original one, written by Gluck, with the libretto of Calzabigi in Italian, as a wonderful poetry, I have to say. The language is very beautiful in poetical terms. And also the human material is very subtle. And then in Brussels, we used the version rewritten by Berlioz. It's not rewritten. There were some correction, no? Some little difference. The main difference is the language, in fact, and the fact that the main role was sung by a woman. In the original Orfeo, in Italian, was castrato. Yes, and the story, the plot is the same. So is according to the Greek myth, the story of Orfeo that he tried to reawake his wife, sleeping in the world, the realm of the dead, but he cannot watch at her, and that I think is a very important mythology regarding the act of sea. I think it could be a kind of hero for cinema, Orfeo. To see is a very important verb, that it costs something. It's not just a function of the eye. It's an effort, and you have to pay with the life if you want to see. And so it's a beautiful story. And I got this idea to dive literally in this human condition, the most extreme condition on earth for a human being. I'm speaking about the coma condition, in particular the locked-in disease. So this girl is completely conscient, completely, like us, but imprisoned in her body, like a jail. She answered to us only with blinking the eye. That was the only muscle under control for her. So it was very For me, for all my team, it was first of all a human experience, and then a theater. But it was really, really touching, and is something that is still with me.
So what exactly came first? Did you find about Else's story first, or actually did you have this idea or of working in
No, first the idea normally is like that. When I work, I collect, I gather ideas, I put it in a book notes, and but when La Monnaie and the Vienna Festival Group proposed to me to work on this opera, the first thing as usual, I do like this. I put the CD in the CD player, and suddenly, this time, this idea of a real woman, for a real woman in a bed, in a hospital, was so clear. But the first moment for me was unacceptable. It was too much, even dangerous. There are a lot of danger in this project, I have to say, a lot of danger. First of all, the voyeurism, or to work with the pain of somebody else that is not you. And the question is, I get a lot of questions if I was allowed or not to treat this person. So I was very, very doubtful all the time. And then, but the idea was all the time with me, and it was impossible to come si può dire, superare. It was
to overcome
exactly
the idea.
It was impossible to overcome this idea because it was very something touching even before the experience, and so I try with my collaborators to transform something this condition in something respectful. So first of all, we ask to the authority, to the board of the hospital, to the association of these people, then the family, then else. So it was, and every time all the people was very happy to share their story, because normally they are completely forgotten by the society. So everyone tell us, please do it, it's important. So I was encouraged to go on because of the people around else was so convinced. But then we asked directly to Else, and she was happy in a very bizarre way, because she cannot express herself in any just with the blink in the eye. And every night, because it was live every day.
So she would actually listen to
exactly.
the music
in, real time,
in every performance.
Exactly. It was like a ring. So she got the music live from the theater, and the theater received her picture live. So it was a kind of connection. And asked her to be EURYDICE, to play in a way, even is a paradox. But in this moment, she chose to be EURYDICE. And so for me, that is this act of will transform her in an actress, if you want. She was conscious about her character. And she accepted because she loved love story. And that is a love story. and we asked to his boyfriend to be the last scene with the hand.
That removes the headphones from
his,
her head.
Yes, his her
Husband.
Yes, but the Orfeo actually is the camera. And in order to avoid any temptation to be voyeuristic, I chose to make blur the camera, because the glance of Orfeo it's a problematic one, so we cannot see. You have to don't see. It's forbidden to see because it was a law given by the gods. You can go, you can reach your wife, you can make her free, but don't look at her. It was a kind of, I don't know, it's a quite sadistic...
a sadistic challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so for that reason, was very coherent with the character, with the mythology, but also it was a way to put a kind of a veil, an intimate one, in front of this tragic experience. But then there is one moment in which the camera turned and become clear when we receive when we see the eyes of Els looking at the camera. So it's a moment really strong and magic, and the kind of epiphany of the glance. We are speaking about the act of seeing, if you want.
So this moment when it becomes clear, when the blurred image is not used anymore, it's also the moment when Orpheus actually looks at Eurydice and sees her, which also means that it's also she's doomed to die.
In fact, the movie die there is a fade in the white, so everything disappears. And the act of see disappear by the white, not by the black.
By the black.
Yes, because it's too much, too many light.
But speaking about black and white, which I think there's also like an interesting parallel between these two colors, because you choose to do the big hit of this opera, which is Che farò senza Eurydice.
Yes,
yes, the French version.
It's
I don't
true,
know.
It's true.
That you put it in complete darkness, which in a way it's also, we can imagine, not exactly the darkness, because Els can actually see everything.
Yeah.
But the fact that she is in darkness also, in a way.
Yeah, exactly. No, yes, there was this contrast between the white and the black, yes. And the black in theater is very complicated because it's impossible.
And also for
almost
the film.
Impossible, yes. But in order to get the real black, we used black tulle in order to stop any parasite light
to come into
exactly.
on stage.
So it was important for me, this kind of deep blackness, almost tangible, almost physical. And it's this area that is one of the most beautiful area, Che farò senza Eurydice. The blackness, it means when we are, lost and desperation is we are in the bottom of the loneliness.
Why was it so important for you? Because I can sense also, first of all, this is also like a characteristic of your work, but here I think it becomes it's a very strong message when you're actually using the real life footage and you make it like a very important point that everything is live. So there's nothing that is pre-recorded.
Exactly.
So there's this movement of reaching the hospital, which is clearly we're seeing the camera approaching Els in this case.
Yeah.
But also the same movement that Orpheus does going
exactly.
Into like descending into hell.
Absolutely.
But the the fact that everything is real, why was this so important for you to do it every single night, every single performance?
Yes, I think that the sense of danger, the sense of fragile, was the most important thing. So everything was so trembling because, I don't know, the traffic jam or the rain, or I don't know, a technical problem in the camera in the sending the signal.
Yeah, we see it buffering
Yeah,
sometimes.
very often. Yes, but then I think this difficulty, this struggle was the most precious element of this project. Everything was really, really fragile, and you can feel, you spectator, if it's real. And also, I think it's a matter of honesty. Yes, of course, it was much more easy to make a recording, to clean, and so on. But you lose the most precious and probably invisible, but still working element. That is the fragility.
But also, I guess, the fear that somehow you provoke in the spectator, because not only, I think we're all afraid to be in that situation, because
Yes.
I think many of us didn't know about this
Yes.
condition, and so we do
Yes.
this exercise of imagining ourselves into
Yes.
that position.
That is very important.
But at the
Because
same time, we are taken through the same trip as Orpheus, so we're sort of in both parts at the same time.
Exactly, because what happened to else could happen
To anyone.
To anyone, yes, that is very. And for me, it was important to show the experience of else as a mirror. So we see the most extreme human condition on earth as a mirror. It's not a bad experience that belonged to an unlucky people, and so we can see at her with curiosity. It's not like this. Also because I think, also because of the music. Music is so sweet, so touching, that open a wound on you, and the message is much more profound, and you can feel this this sense of empathy, and you can discover yourself in this bed. And for me, that was very important. And when we see in this room all the photos, the picture of her life, it's a moment of life that belongs to everyone.
And there's also like a moment where the camera actually sort of rests almost in a clock that is ticking time. And I think that it's also the moment when you realize that our time is the same time as else.
Yeah. If you watch the clock, your clock, it was the same, because it was in real time, but also it was full of meaning. There was also in this room a fish in the glass bowl that is also the condition of health, and everything. And there were toys for her boys, little boys, and the people, the audience, enter little by little in this story because of the second narration. No, they can listen to the mythology, the libretto, but they are reading another story. That was a kind of blending fabric, make with the two different stories, but actually one. So that is a way in which the mythology can make a visit in the real life. And mythology gives us a key in order to understand this extreme, the human pain. I think is an important way to consider the mythology as a way to read our poor life.
Speaking or going a bit back to the music of Gluck, of course, in this late Baroque pieces, there's already some sort of simplification of the mythology, and in a way, you manage to bring it even more closer to us in our existence. So there's already this movement in Gluck, but then you actually even bring it closer to us. Is it something that you were originally looking for when you were listening to this music, when you put the CD on, that you immediately imagine how can this mythology actually speak to us nowadays, and in what way it can do so? Because also there's a detail about Orpheus and Eurydice, which is also the pain, of course, which is like a very common theme in late Baroque, but this idea of memory, what you can remember and what you forget. And was this something that was already in your intentions when you started to work on this performance?
Not really. I have no intention. I discover every day this dimension. Listen to the music. Particularly, the music is the river that bring all the forms. So I just jump in this river and follow the stream, and suddenly forms arrives, and I have just to gather ideas, but only if you dive in a kind of amnesia. I think you have to be, the best condition is to abandon any judgment, abandon any sense of control. We have to be lost in this river in a way, and then images, forms comes more profound, and I think, is my opinion, more, let's say, urgent, because they speak of you.
But is it easier to find that in Baroque music specifically?
I think so. I think so, because Baroque music is very, probably it's too easy to say that, but it's very contemporary. Touch us much more easy than another kind of music. Is it's a kind of this kind of anachronism. It's very close to us, because Baroque music normally bring mythology, fairy tales, and beautiful. And the Baroque as a form have to do a lot with illness. There is a very strong relationship with death, because the Baroque born when the si chiama la peste. La peste. You know?
The plague.
The plague, exactly. The plague make a lot of disaster in Europe, and that was the third wave of plague. And the Baroque is a kind of if you think to the Baroque in Naples, for example, is clearly connected with the experience of the death and the sickness, the illness. It's a kind of flower, a sick flower, the flower made with the flesh and the decay. The beauty of Baroque is decay. So it's a kind of memento mori all the time, and that is it make the Baroque music very. It could be an experience,
touchy.
yeah.
But speaking of anachronism, actually, the mythology, the story, does not end well. But here,
Exactly. Yeah.
in the opera, you actually have
right.
some sort of happy end, in a way.
You're right.
And
Yes.
also, the style of how you direct it and how you present the last scene when you see Eurydice
Yeah.
naked, bathing in this...
Yeah. Is a kitsch
It's a kitsch moment.
No, but the kitsch born in this age, in Austria in particularly, the kitsch is the attempt to don't consider the death. In the kitsch word, but it's a philosophical response. It's not something ugly. There is a reason, very profound, for the kitsch. And the kitsch is to deny the evidence of the death. So is the consequence of the Baroque. After the kitsch born after the Baroque, in this age, no? With the Rococo, with because the happy hand, let's say, was not belong to the mythology, of course, because it's very tragic. Because Eurydice, she died 2 times because of the mistake of Orfeo.
The idea of the statue of salt.
Exactly. So, but because Gluck was committed by a prince, and was the premiere was given for a party, for a wedding party of the I don't remember very well, of a prince. So it was not possible to hand with the sadness.
Because the party had to continue.
Of course. So the opposite is the triumph of the love. So Calzabigi and Gluck, they invent the character Amore, and that he allowed the couple to come back to the earth, but it's not like this. It's completely fake. Mm-hmm. And I liked this frustration, because else, even now, she's still in the bed. So that was a real problem for the mise-en-scène. What to do with this happy hand, with this, we cannot tell a lie. She stay in the bed forever. So I work on her dream. It's a kind of dream of her belonging to health. And so all the happy hand is just a dream. It's not something real. It's something that belonged to her inner, very rich world, made with the fairy tale, princess, and for that reason was completely unbelievable. And it's very theatrical. Because if in the first part it was just a camera searching for a place, at the end is very theater of 19th century, with the painting, with the all the stuffs, with the.
So it's a bit like Elsa's fairy tale dream actually coming true on stage, but you also talk about her actually being happy with this experience.
Yes.
So there's that possibility of happiness also with the experience of the artwork.
Exactly. Also because she was very attached. She was very, let's say, come si può dire, she needs storytelling. Mm-hmm. So that was another kind of happy love story also for her.
Speaking of your work, like more broadly with opera and with classical pieces, do you feel that there's a lot of space of intervening in opera, or do you feel the opposite, that it's a very rigid, usually like very rigid concept that you have because you talked about how difficult things are to make decisions and you know, the light, and also how the singers sing, and if you have to light the orchestra or not. So there's a lot of decisions that usually make it like a very rigid experience to direct an opera. But in in your work, I have the sense that it's a bit the opposite, that you find a lot of space to
I try.
intervene.
I try, but you're right. It's, normally is a very rigid domain, is a very rigid world with the rules. And so you have to change your way to organize your theater, but at the end is always theater with another language, another technique. So we have to, of course, we have to accept all the limits, but you have to consider the limits as an occasion in order to, in any case, I think...
Like an opportunity, let's say.
Yes, it's an opportunity. So, of course, we have to love this title, this repertoire, this kind of music. I cannot do anything. Some kind of music is not for me. So I can say yes or not. But then when you say yes, I can do it, it's a kind of a door. We pass this threshold, that is the title, and then you work with the limit. And that is, it could be very interesting, because I don't believe in the word freedom in art. No makes sense. Freedom in art, what it means? Nothing. We are searching for limits. Otherwise, the freedom is a desert. So I need all the time, even when I work in theater, apparently without limits, I have to search for limits in somewhere, because...
If they don't exist, you make them up.
Yes, absolutely. I need a cage in order to break it.
But is this also, I think I read it somewhere, or I heard an interview by you, when you say that you actually don't have any ideas of your own, that you sort of collect experiences and collect other ideas in order to distribute them in some other way. Is this also like you imposing yourself this idea of the cage, of the limitation of the creation?
Yeah, but it's both directions. So I work with the material that I collect by myself, according to the phenomenon that surround me every day, in everyday life, on the street, at home, I don't know, in metro, or in every place. I received picture, phrases, sounds, everything, and I collect all this. Is a kind of chaos, you know. I gather chaos, but then so I'm the filter. I have to be. It's quite simple. I have to be. I have to be a listener. Very careful. You have to listen careful all what surround you, and then all these elements. When I read these notebooks made with chaos, some point are more strong, more interesting, appear to me in this moment more interesting, more curious, more strong than the others. And then I can see kind of a constellation between them. And then suddenly a name appears. And then the first phase is a child phase. Also joyful. Is joyful to play with the chaos without any order, without any hierarchy. But then the adult phase starts when you have a name, when you have a title. The title is a threshold, is a door, but you have just a door. Then you have to build a house around the door. And so the dramaturgy starts from this point of view. And then you have to build something solid. And you make a choice. So you throw away the 98% of your materials, and then you work on the little things normally, but strong, possibly.
If you have questions or comments, this would be the moment. Yes.
Thank you very much. Tonight has been like a really interesting experience watching your earlier work and then this particular play. I was saying that it has been really particular to see how you work with what is real on stage in the earlier phase. Like there's a lot of violence and also tenderness. And here I see your work with also reality, but in a different phase. So more than a comment is, it has been like very interesting to see how you face reality, not just from a monolithic perspective, but with tenderness, which has been a really, really amazing experience while watching the piece. Yeah, just wanted to say that.
Yeah, thank you for the important question. I don't know if I'm able to answer you, but I try. I think that theater is a way to suspend reality, because it's the double of the life. Is the artistic language the most able to double the life. Is another life, in fact. But you work, of course, with elements coming from the reality, but the reality basically is the enemy. So we have to suspend reality in order to touch the real. We have to make the real suspending the reality. The real is something that belongs only to you. The real is everything that is inside your skin. Reality is out of your skin. The reality is the social rules, the language, what you see, a relationship with the others, with the power, and so on. Inside of you, it's a dark space. That is the real. Theater have to touch the real of every spectator. So you have to find a way in order to work reality, in order to transform reality in something real.
I'm very happy to be here tonight.
Thank you.
It's not really a question, maybe it's a wrong way of saying it, but it seems to me that this piece, this complex of art that you put before us, is a kind of huge metaphor for our condition of human beings. And I wonder if you had not this condition as dying people, dying beings, what would be I mean, I wonder if death was not existent, if theater would be still possible. It's a kind of crazy idea, but I'm curious of what, with your imagination and creativity, because you gave us a demonstration of the way you create and connect so many difficult and beautiful ideas, sounds, and image. Thank you.
It's a statement.
It's a statement, okay. I think, yes. It doesn't require an answer. I think.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Is this the right volume? Okay, sounds like it. Hi, thank you very much for this evening.
Thank you too.
Of course, there is the fact that your work is not being presented to us directly. We're witnessing it through film. Your work is obviously very cinematic. Is this something you're very conscious of? Do you think presenting your work, do you think about how it will survive in film? Is this something you, I mean, even the context in which this is being presented right now, is this something you, I don't know, I mean, how does this influence your actual practice?
You asking me my relationship with the movie, the cinema?
Well, the way your work survives
Ah,
through
the way. But in fact, you're right, because I work with another mentality that does not belong normally to the typical way to build a theatrical piece. I believe in the montage. Montage is one of the most powerful tools that we can have, even in theater. So theater, even more than cinema, can open your mind typically by the association, putting two elements, even different, they, according to the theory of the montage of Eisenstein, a Kuleshov effect, you get the third picture that doesn't exist. So combining two elements, combining two images, you have the third one that doesn't exist. Better, it exists, but not belong to me, the artist, belong to the spectator. The spectator have to do the job. I believe in the spectator, in his responsibility. So, yes, I work with the cinematic mentality and ideology. Even with the point of polemic with the theater.
Thank you for this experience. I saw sul concetto di voto nel Figlio di Dio.
Yes.
And my question is, maybe here in English.
Probably, okay.
Yeah. And my question is if the suffering or the philosophy of suffering or making us think about the suffering is part of your work. Because I saw this continuum from the two works. I saw this and the other one. Thank you.
The suffering, yes, is. I mean, it's the history of art, the history of theater, the history of cinema. It speaks continuously about suffering. That is the thing. It's not my choice, because also to treat the suffering on a stage or in a movie, it's a way to make you free, or better, you give another meaning that you can share with others to your own suffering. Because of course the people that I engage normally in people with some kind of scar, some kind of difficulty, they are not the si dice disgraziati, disgraced. Yeah, they are like us, but they come before. They are in front of us. They are not different from us. They are simply 2 steps in front of us, speaking about the suffering. So they announce us our own suffering. But it's not just sad, because behind this strange condition you can find also beauty and also kind of revenge on life. Life is the killer, and art could be a shield.
I was wondering, we have here a very controlled situation. When we saw the the performance in Brussels had a live audience, and of course, you capture the danger. The film captures the danger, but of course, you're not fully under control with a live audience, right? I was wondering if you had any sort of contingency plans if something went really, really, really wrong. If you really couldn't get through the scene. What kind of contingencies you had in place?
Exactly. It was a big issue. In case of total blackout, what can we do? So the plan B was because you're right. In the audience, in the real audience, there was the air was electric, because you can feel the situation of else, but also all this stuff completely trembling and uncertain. The plan B was to have a recording, but before to send the recorded rehearsal that we recorded the first day during the rehearsal, normally it was accepted only if you declare there was a technical problem, there was a stop. Now it's just a recording. So everything, in my opinion, in particular in front of such a choice, you have to be completely transparent and honest with the audience. No trick. Otherwise, it doesn't work. No? And so in this case, there was a tape, but with an announce declaring that there was a very big problem.
Like a technical error.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. That was the plan B.
I think we've just seen a film, of course, but we were still electrified by your work
yes.
and by your performance. So it also works when you just watch the filmed version of this amazing production. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much to you. Muito obrigado, and forgive me for my very bad English.
No, it is perfect. E obrigado a todos por estarem aqui.